So you were in a traffic accident and the police were called. The officer shows up and to your surprise, you're given a traffic ticket for failure to reduce speed to avoid an accident. What the heck does that mean? Let's break it down right now. Hi, I'm attorney Derek Martin with Driver Defense Team, and today we're talking about a traffic ticket that is issued as a result of a traffic accident. And that, by far, most common ticket issued after an accident is failure to reduce speed to avoid an accident. And so you get that ticket, and the first thing you think of is, I wasn't speeding, right? Failure to reduce speed, what are they talking about? I wasn't speeding. I was maybe even going below the speed limit, or I was just at a complete stop and I'm barely rolling a few miles an hour. I was not speeding. Well, don't get fooled by that. This is not about how fast you were going in relation to the speed limit. This is about how fast you were going in relation to the conditions or the hazards that existed. Specifically, the law says that you cannot drive greater than is reasonable and proper with regard to the conditions. So that leads to the question, what conditions are there that are requiring a driver to slow down? The law lists a couple of them specifically, and then it has some sort of general catch-alls. So the more specific ones are, if you are approaching or crossing an intersection, you're required to slow down. If you are approaching a curve or a bend, same thing. If you're approaching a crest or a hill, because obviously the other person coming may not be able to see you, so you may have a duty to slow down then. If you're traveling upon a windy or curving road, and then if any sort of special hazards exist, like pedestrians, right? If there's pedestrians crossing the road, you have a responsibility to slow down then. Weather or highway conditions. So the weather's an obvious one. Things that are on the road, debris or something like that. If you see that, you have a responsibility to slow down, or it's reasonable and proper to slow down is probably the right way to put it. But then there is this big catch-all, and it says that your speed must be decreased to avoid colliding with any person or vehicle on the road. And that's usually the one that sort of they can point to and say, well, just by the simple fact that you were in this accident, you committed this violation. Because if you had slowed down further or even came to a complete stop, this accident would have been avoided. And that is the best way to look at this ticket. It is, could I or should I have stopped or slowed down to a point that this accident could have or should have been avoided? And so that's the ticket, and that's what needs to be dealt with in court. Let's talk about what the penalties are for this, because this is just a traffic ticket. I mean, even in a bad accident where there's injuries and serious issues that occur, this ticket right here is just a traffic ticket. It's not a criminal offense, but a conviction on your record is not what you want because that can cause insurance rate increases. Depending on your record, that can cause a license suspension if you've got prior tickets. And of course, there's a fine associated with a conviction for this. And so you want to keep it off your record just like any traffic ticket. But the final thing I wish to talk about is how this ticket for an accident can relate to a civil case. Because there's really two types of law, and I want to go over this. It's important. The first type of law, and the one we're talking about here, is a traffic ticket, traffic law, right? And in court for this, we're simply trying to determine, did you or did you not commit this violation? But there may be a second sort of type of law or a second case at play here, and that would be a personal injury lawsuit. That is civil in nature as opposed to traffic. And that injury could be obviously for medical bills and lost time from work and compensation for damages to the vehicle and other property. All those things could be a personal injury lawsuit, and that is separate from this. That may or may not come, but you should know that somebody has 2 years to file that. So your ticket will be long gone and handled by the time someone could file that if they wish. And so we want to be aware of that. We want to be cognizant of that, because on this traffic ticket, if you were to admit some guilt or some liability, then a personal injury attorney may use that admission on the traffic ticket against you in a civil case. And so I simply want to make the point that a traffic lawyer, a good traffic lawyer should be aware of that. And we certainly are aware of that as we handle your traffic ticket. That goes to the bigger picture of, should you have a lawyer? I think the answer to this is yes. And I don't say that about every traffic ticket. There's many traffic tickets where you do not need a lawyer. But this is one, even on what you think is a relatively minor accident, I would recommend having a lawyer. One, because we can help you out with this traffic ticket. We're going to protect your record. We're going to protect your license. We're going to try to protect your insurance rates. We're going to avoid those penalties and take care of this ticket in the best way possible, get you the absolute best outcome possible. That's the obvious benefit of having a lawyer. But the second one is we're going to be aware of, and we're not going to put you in a worse position if a personal injury lawsuit does come down the road. So that is how you should handle this ticket. And more importantly, I think I want you to know what this ticket is overall. So thank you for watching. I hope I was able to provide some clarity to exactly what failing to reduce speed to avoid an accident really means. Thank you.